What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the reunion of Final Fantasy VII Remake or Rebirth podcast. I'm your host, Kai, and joining me again today is my incredible co-host, Vyzz. How are you doing, Vyzz?
Hello, everybody. It has been a hot minute, hasn't it? But yeah, we're back and ready to go. And as you can hear, I'm grand. How are you, Kai?
I am doing really well. Actually, I'm just super excited to be here again with you today and, take the time to talk about this amazing trailer that we got for Rebirth at Summer Games Fest. I just want to go ahead and apologize to everybody for the long hiatus. But we're back and we're better than ever. So we're gonna go into a little bit more detail about that in a bit here. But I just wanted to remind everybody the best way to support us is to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. You can find us on any podcast platform of your choice, so Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you listen to your podcasts. We also have a YouTube channel as well, and you can hop on over there and subscribe if you already haven't done so. So like I just said, for today's episode, we're going to go into a little bit of detail talking about the Rebirth trailer that was shown at Summer Game Fest this past Thursday. We're just going to be giving a little bit more surface level, general thoughts and overall impressions for now, but we do have plans to go a little bit more further and deeper in a more focused episode in the future, hopefully for our next episode and the subsequent episodes after that. So stay tuned for that. So like I just said, I just want to take a second to talk a little bit about our hiatus because we've been away for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
So for me, it was a lot. You know, we really worked really hard on this podcast, and it just took a lot of time and a lot of energy. And there was also not too much information about Rebirth or Remake after obviously that game was released and Integrate and Intermission came out, and we talked a lot about that. And generally, I just was a little bit burnt out. Our episodes are rather long, and it's just Vyzz and I that are working on this podcast. So, I'm the one that's editing, and there's a lot of planning involved, and it just became a lot. And it was really hard to find the time to be able to, edit the episodes in the quality that that you guys are used to, because it actually takes a lot of time and energy to release, high quality content. So, and I was super busy with work because we both have jobs outside of this. So this is just, a passion project for us. And I think that, I had just decided that I need to take a break for now. And then we kind of discussed this, that, when there's more information coming out, that we would kind of reconvene and start up again, basically. So here we are. And I know, Vyzz, that you had discussed this as well on the Cosmo Canyon Observatory Patreon page as well. You made a posting on there. Did you want to go into a little bit of detail about your hiatus as well?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. My content has also become quite sparse lately. For one, lack of news, but also burnout, because I'm also a perfectionist and I want to get everything right and produce high quality content, which means putting a lot of effort and time into it. And at some point I just couldn't do it anymore. I needed a break.
Mm-hmm.
And then motivation also like flatlined a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it took so long, almost a year, for the first look teaser trailer analysis part 1 to come out. I just let it simmer for quite a while. I also had to finish up the ending and SAC analysis 3-part series. I think it was last year in October or something.
Yeah.
The last one came out. And it's just a lot. So I needed to change things up, and now I'm concentrating on just writing articles with footnotes and reference images and stuff like that, which I can produce and publish in a timely manner. And then if other scholars, which have already helped me out in the past, like Kutakuma being the voiceover, Dachdaga being video editor for the past, I think, 1 or 2 videos.
Yeah.
If they have find the time and are able to, can then create a video out of it. I also plan to perform a stage analysis on Discord, like this, using the stage feature where I can just live stream and others can chime in
Right.
with voice or just typing comments. So it's kind of like a live stream, but confined to our community. Let's just try how this turns out. And I also plan to record this and have Dachdecker, for example, to shorten it, create a highlights version out of it for YouTube, stuff like that. We'll find a way to get all the goodness, the content out to you all, in a way that's content complete. Maybe not as super edited and as before. We'll see, but that's it. And I'll just try to focus on my Substack articles. I will plug everything at the end of the episode, so make sure to stay towards the end. That's where content will be published first. That's it from my side.
Yeah, just like I said, we record our episodes and they end up being really long, so it takes a long time to edit them to that high quality. So for example, we had recorded an episode about Crisis Core Reunion, and we didn't even post it because I actually didn't even get finished editing it because it was so long and it took so much time, and I was so busy in real life outside of the podcast that I wasn't able to get it finished. So, going forward, I think the best thing for us is we're just going to keep it a little bit more concise, probably a little bit more informal, so that, it just doesn't kill me when I go to edit the episodes, so that we can still continue to create episodes, because we both love doing the podcast, and, we build some great momentum, I think, for the podcast in the past. We had some pretty incredible guests on here, and we want to continue, to do that in the future. So basically just making the choices to be able to do that, I think, but also take care of ourselves, at the same time. Important. So yeah, for sure.
Yes, 3.5 hours, just recording is also draining at some point. And then editing 3.5 hours with the level of, let's say, professionalism, and also editing everything out that's not supposed to be there to be professional and everything. That's
the thing.
Takes a lot. It's the same with my videos. As soon as I find even a pixel that's wrong, I'll correct it.
Yeah.
And that's why I just keep going through it until it's perfect, and it takes such a long time. That's why I can't do it anymore next to work and other things I want to do, and it just takes too long to get my thoughts out. So that with the articles, I can get my thoughts out much quicker. And then I can worry about producing videos with the help of others.
Yeah. And we talked about, ways that we could do it, which is just post it as is, what I mean? But we're not happy with that.
Yeah.
Or hire somebody to be able to do it. If we hire somebody, then it's going to cost money. And this podcast is free. Like, we don't have a Patreon page. There's no fee to subscribe to listen to the podcast. So, to hire somebody to do that, even I would still have to provide kind of like a transcript, like, oh, there's something here, I need to remove this, whatever. And it probably still wouldn't be at the standard that, I want it to be, even after hiring somebody. So there's really not really solution outside of, what we just talked about. So, but I'm really excited about the future, and we are back, and we're going to try to consistently make episodes going forward. And I think that we're going to get a little bit more information now trickling down about Rebirth in the future.
Oh, for sure.
Because we're getting closer and closer to the release, obviously. So we're going to dive into that a little bit right about now. So first of all, I just want to highlight that the Final Fantasy VII Twitter account had been posting some updates about the game for about 7 days up until we saw the reveal of the trailer at Summer Game Fest. And this kind of set the internet on fire, actually, because a lot of people were memeing this into existence. Basically that these things like that they were telling us were non-news, right? That they were just things that people had already known about the game, and that they were kind of trolling us in some way. I would argue actually that if you weren't really up to date or keeping, like the pulse on like the development of the game or even Remake, that you might actually not know these things. So for some people it might be news, but for us, obviously, like we knew many of the details here. They did give some hints of a little bit of things that we didn't necessarily know. Like we know that the game is going to be large, but they did confirm that we're going to have a high degree of freedom in the game, which for me, I really liked to hear that, because we were kind of thinking that it's going to be more open, but it's still obviously going to be more story focused. So maybe cutscene, and then not necessarily in a corridor, but more guided, I guess, than just being on an overworld in the original game, where you're just like walking and roaming, you can literally go anywhere. So I really liked hearing about that. And then the other one for me, which caught my eye, was the combat, where they said that new comrades will join you in battle and cooperate with other party members in closer ways than before. So that's what I really liked. And then I was kind of brainstorming, because we made an episode focused on Rebirth, and we just kind of picked each other's brains and talked about, what ways could they improve the combat from intermission, or change it to make it a little bit more fine-tuned, or introduce new elements there to make it seem refreshed and renewed for this part of the series. So I really liked that one. Did you want to add anything here, Vyzz, about the Twitter updates?
Yes, as you said, most of them were non-news. I think besides the one about we have made preparations so that players who did not get the chance to play the first game can fully enjoy Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I think pointing that out is also good.
Right.
They also said that in other Twitter updates that people do not need to finish Remake to enjoy Rebirth. It's not a requirement. It's of course better, but it's not a requirement. They want it to remain at its as a separate entity, a standalone game that does not require prior knowledge, and that is pretty good. I also think it's less about what they actually answer, which is not much. Most of it is clear or just implicitly true. But since it led up to a trailer, it was definitely just a lead up to say, hey, we have something for you. Just wait a few more days. 7 days to be exact. Yep. The last one on the trailer drop date, like the 8th, when Summer Games Fest, the opening showcase took place. The last tweet was by Nomura-san, of course, that more information will be revealed soon. Which says, okay, yeah, we're about to get a drop.
Yeah, because everybody was thinking it was going to be a bait and switch, you know what I mean? Where they're posting this and then they don't show anything, and then people were like raging on the internet. Like, if they don't show anything, they're dead to me. Like, I don't care about this game anymore.
Yeah. No, they would have cut their own flesh with a non-show at the Summer Games Fest. That's for sure. With such a lead up, no, that's too on the nose.
Yeah, the last one really confirmed it for me, where it said more information will be revealed soon. I was just like, okay, well, we're definitely getting an update, or maybe a teaser, you know what I mean? Or a trailer, or an announcement, maybe a release date announcement. I was thinking actually we were going to get a specific actual release date.
I was hoping for it, but didn't quite expect it.
Yeah, and then I went back and I looked at like Remake when that was announced. And it was about around the same time, like the actual release date. I think it was about 6 months before, but then obviously the release date for that got pushed back by a month. But it seems to be coinciding with that what we saw with the remake.
Kind of, yeah.
But yeah, that was pretty much it for the Twitter updates here. I'm just, I was just super excited and just following this and waking up every morning. Like, I don't know about you. I mean, you're in a different time zone, but for me, these were posted at like, I think 9 a.m. Eastern time. So like, I was getting up, I was getting ready, I was going to work, and I was just refreshing my Twitter page just to see like if there was a new one. It wasn't posted yet, just to see what the next thing was going to be. So it really kind of made me more excited about, what we were going to get next, if we were going to get new details or new information at all. And I really enjoyed that. And it kind of brought me back to how I felt about Remake when that was originally announced, and we were kind of excited about that game, and just like we got a teaser, we got, you know what I mean? Like we got a new trailer like that. It just kind of put me in that mindset again where I was just so excited, but a little bit anxious and a little bit stressed because I was thinking like, we're coming back. Like we have to cover this stuff. So, it just made me excited, anxious, and stressed at the same time because I'm like, oh my gosh, like we're back. Like this is it. And it's going to be starting even more and more frequently from now on into the future, I think, once that Final Fantasy 16 is released. I think the marketing campaign is, getting into full gear now for Rebirth. So
for sure,
yeah.
Maybe they'll give 16 a little bit of air to breathe right now, but in a few months, maybe even at Gamescom, or I think the latest Tokyo Game Show, we'll see more.
Absolutely.
And maybe some other small trickles between. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, so moving on here, we did actually get an Ever Crisis trailer that was shown at Summer Game Fest as well. I'm super excited about this game as well, and it was really cool to get another look at it because we hadn't seen it in such a long time, and then people were kind of thinking, like, are we going to see it again? Like, why haven't we seen it yet? First, and also, why isn't it released yet? Obviously, we know that they pushed it back. So they're still working on it, but we got to see a different glimpse of some of the party members here from the First Soldier. It looks like the First Soldier chapter, which is super interesting to me. I'm not really super familiar with the First Soldier lore there with the characters. I did play it a bit when it came out. And then I kind of stopped because I was so busy and there's so many other games to play at the time as well. And, you just kind of have to pick and choose because, adulting. So
yes,
unfortunately. So yeah, but did you want to talk a little bit, Vyzz, about the characters here that were shown in the in Ever Crisis trailer?
Yes, I'm really looking forward to this First Soldier chapter because it's new, and it's I hope it really fills out some gaps we have in the whole lore and stuff we got teased in Picturing the Past short story from the world premiere book and Traces of Two Pasts light novel. And what's interesting is this Glenn character. I think it's the same one that's also mentioned in this short story, Picturing the Past, Glenn Reiner. He's supposed to have led in the Wutai War, which is probably what we see here against Sephiroth, like the scenes from the pre-rendered trailer where Glenn is facing off against Sephiroth in this destroyed area, whatever. And it is the same one since they have the same huge futuristic battle axe we see in the chibi versions of Ever Crisis. Right. So that's very intriguing. That there's more connections, and also that we do not know Sephiroth, the sentence at the beginning. So we will get to know much more about Sephiroth. Of course, the past, which previous trailers have teased, that where he's, I don't know, a youth, 15 or something like that, with a different katana. But now we have seen adult Sephiroth, most likely during the Wutai War, where he's calling Genesis. So brace yourselves for more poetry. But that's other than that, I'm just waiting for the full release and try to play it on with Substack on PC because I'm not a mobile player. I just do not have the motivation to do so. Maybe there will be a PC release down the line, or else I'll just try to emulate it or just watch the scenes if that's not possible. But still interesting that they showed nothing from Advent Children, Dirge of Cerberus, and Before Crisis. Nothing so far. Right. So I'm
at all.
At all. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will hold off on those until the first few chapters released, and then there might be a trailer down the line to tease more chapters. So to rope people in then. Yeah. Not blow their loads before everything else, before it releases. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just super excited for this game. I'm excited about being able to play pretty much the whole entire series, like the compilation from beginning to end, and experience it in a different way. I think that's the part that I'm most excited about. And yeah, hopefully we don't have to wait too much longer. Did they show a release date for this at the end? They didn't, right?
Nope.
I know that they had a pre-registration
Yes.
for a beta test, which I think for Android started on June the 8th. I think it's June 8th to June 25th. I think it's open. So I downloaded it on my iPhone, but I didn't even open it. Like, I don't think you can open it yet. So it's something weird. I don't even know.
Okay.
I think it was the same thing with the first Soldier, right? When that came out, I think
Yeah.
it was a beta test. I did download it, so I haven't tried it yet. So I don't even know if it's online, but I'm gonna try it later today and see what happens there. But
You can keep me posted.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What's also something that's quite interesting to me is it's just visuals, but all those different costumes for the characters. I just love seeing different costumes. It's just like my visual, not quite kink because it has nothing sexual, but it's more like my my thing. I love visual things, like to see aesthetics and different versions and stuff like that. So that's why I'm hoping that Rebirth and the third game have different costumes for different occasions, as we talked about in previous episodes.
Yeah, we did. Yeah,
but we'll see if they get through with that. But at least in Ever Crisis, they have a plethora of options, I assume.
Oh, for sure.
And especially Aerithus. It's a Genesis costume, I think. So Genesis being the champion of Minerva and thus the champion of the planet, which is kind of what Aerith is too, as etc.
Yep.
So it kind of fits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to fit though. Come on.
No, it
you
doesn't.
Just buy it. You just buy it.
Yeah, of course. I mean, if it fits thematically, it's even more interesting. But Cloud as a samurai and stuff like that, it's Tifa as whatever that costume was. It looked cool. It's fine. Just that you have some different experiences visually, at least every time you play when you just switch around costumes. And I think weapons too. Maybe costumes and weapons are linked. I don't know if that's actually the case. Could be. Because they were only talking about buying weapons. Like the loot box stuff is about weapons. Maybe each weapon comes with a costume, a fitting costume, something like that. I don't remember exactly. But I don't think they were too specific on that either.
Yeah. Well, I like that. I like that we can play through this game with the customization that we want.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Which is kind of a critique of the original, which we talked about episodes ago. Like, you can't upgrade weapons, you can't change your costumes outside of the garbs that you get. Like, if you're going throughout the environment and you have to change or something like that. It's like there's none of that. So this is kind of like their answer to that, which I'm really looking forward to. It kind of reminds me of Mortal Kombat, how they have like guest characters and they're just DLC characters that have nothing to do with the lore or the story at all. And you just, okay, you want to fight as Nicolas Cage? Like, sure.
Yeah.
Which, speaking of Nicolas Cage, I don't know if you saw that crazy reveal for Nicolas Cage in Dead by Daylight, but it's wild. That is the new internet meme for me. So that was also a highlight of Summer Game Fest for me.
Yeah, it was so funny. Oh, and we also kept memeing about Jeff Keighley's weird outfit. Like, he looked like a sofa, people said. An old sofa. And still the sneakers, come on. But I think it's just his chick. It just wants to stand out as somebody who doesn't know how to dress. So to make everybody look better, the guests, no matter what they wear. Who knows? I don't know.
And then at the end of the trailer for Ever Crisis, he's like, speaking of Final Fantasy, we're going to tell you all about our DoorDash collaboration with Final Fantasy.
Yeah, and interesting, he knew exactly. He said, and speaking of Final Fantasy, pause, the crowd started welling up, and no. DoorDash collaboration, Final Fantasy 16. Oh, yeah, you knew what you were doing. You knew, and that's the point where you knew, okay, yeah, they're showing Rebirth at the end. Because he teased that a game many of us were waiting towards, a bombshell of a trailer at the end, reveal, stuff like that, first time reveal. I wasn't sure if it was that because I didn't want to get my hopes up and then be crushed by, I don't know, some other weird game I didn't care about. But it's, it was pretty sure. I was pretty sure after this little little thing that Jeff Keighley did after the Ever Crisis
Yeah,
trailer.
that's what I was thinking too at the end. I was thinking we were going to see it at the very end. Like I didn't think we were going to see it in the middle.
It was feeling weird. One of our scholars thought about 1 hour in, because that would have been 7 hours since the last tweet.
But that would have
yeah,
been cool.
Kind of, yeah, but it didn't. It was just Ever Crisis in the first third, I think, like after 40 minutes or something like that, was it? Yeah, and I also didn't think that they would show Ever Crisis and Rebirth just at the same time. This would have felt a bit, I don't know, weird. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It felt good the way they revealed everything.
Absolutely. So moving on here, we're going to talk about the Rebirth trailer that we got. We're just going to give our general thoughts. For now, go into a little bit of gameplay and visuals. They did. I was actually surprised that we got to see as much gameplay as we did.
Yes,
because this was a big one for me. So, just my general thoughts. I think it looks great. I think it looks amazing. Just seeing the open kind of vistas, like the skyline and everything, and just seeing the water and the terrain, and it's just incredible. Like I was just completely blown away by that. I did post a comparison to our Twitter account if you want to hop on over there and check it out, where there's 3 scenes from the original Overworld map that are recreated in Rebirth that we can see from the trailer. And it's just so crazy to think about how far we've come, like graphics wise, if you just kind of look like from one to the other. It's just mind-blowing, basically. And you might not even catch that, like, those are the areas from the overworld, right? You might not even catch that if you're just, because the scenes in the trailer are cut pretty quickly, where they just kind of flash and then go on, and you see them running on chocobos at one point, and you're like, wait, where was that? Like, you have to pause and go back to look again to see if you can figure out like what part of the map this is from the original. But yeah, I was just blown away. I think it looks really good. The gameplay for me looks insane, and it kind of confirmed things that we talked about on our battle mechanics episode, which we released a while ago. But we did talk about ways that they could enhance the gameplay and the battle mechanics for this part of the series to make it refreshed, you know, and kind of take it a little bit further than what we saw in Intermission, which is where we had the synergized attack. So it looks like we are getting some form of that, whether it's synergized attacks. I don't know, Vyzz, if you actually know what the system's called. I don't know if they actually, like, if they have a hint on the UI or anything, but
I think it's just synergize. Yeah, synergize.
Yeah, but it looks like it's synergized with all the team members. And then it looks like, as well, if you look, there was a screenshot that somebody took, and you can kind of see Tifa and Aerith on the outside of the battlefield, but they're just standing there, kind of like waiting. So, you know, we were thinking maybe we were getting Final Fantasy X, you know, swap out, like tag team, where, you know, you just switch and then the next person runs into battle and you can control them. And then, you know, if you're finished with them and then they return, you can swap out at your leisure, basically. Which we did talk about on that episode as well. So check that out, because we do go in depth about the battle mechanics and things that they can improve upon, which actually was really fun to record. And a lot of it looks like we're actually getting some of these things, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, in some way or another, definitely. I still not quite sure how it actually works. I think it's almost impossible to say how it does, but I have a few thoughts about that. Like, just really quick, there are new those ATB dots below, like pips.
Yes.
Those 5 ATB pips below. Sometimes they're filled, sometimes they're not, halfway and stuff. And I couldn't see a scene where they change. So they deliberately tried to just show there's something new, but we have no way of telling what they actually do. And it is possible that those pips are there to swap out, so that you cannot abuse swapping out. Or if you cannot swap out, maybe you can issue one of the reserve members a command to do something, but also not keep doing it. That's why those 5 pips are for, possibly. I don't think it's for team up attacks. Those need to be within those characters that are active.
Right.
And I also noticed that maybe it's a little bit too bit in the weeds, but there is the discrepancy between the ATB bars on the left below the commands menu, and the active party member you're currently controlling. It sometimes doesn't fit. So I think the ATB indicator under the commands menu indicates how many ATB bars are full by at least 2 members, so that you know, okay, I have one for team attacks, not just for the one that I'm steering, I'm controlling, but I have one full for a possible team attack. And I think those team attacks are just normal abilities you learn, and can also just normally execute, maybe even with the L1 shortcut, but you need ATB for that, of course. That's my current thought about that, so that those ATB pips are for the reserve members. And maybe you cannot even swap out during battles, so you have to do it outside of battles to define who is participating actively, but you can still issue commands to those outside with those additional ATB pips. That's what I'm currently thinking, and some of our scholars on the CCO as well.
Yeah, that does make sense. Like, I'm just rewatching the trailer right now, and it looks like each party member that's currently in battle, there's 5.
Yes.
Like, there's 5 of those little blip things.
Yep.
All the time.
Yes.
So it's not like, if it was an item or something and somebody has 3 and then somebody has 2, and do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like there's 5 of them, which seems like it represents the 5 party members, or maybe the people that are outside of battle, like you said, and you just have a limited amount of times that you can call them in. Maybe it's not even a switching, a party switching. Maybe it's just a team up attack, and that's the cooldown,
or something like that. Who knows? It's hard to say, actually. But currently, I'm staying with my thoughts until more information comes out, because we cannot know.
Yeah, and we're gonna, like we said, we're gonna do another episode. We're gonna go back and
go deep
watch
into
the trailer and
yes.
like slow motion and really go frame by frame here and kind of pick it apart and give our thoughts and opinions and stuff on that.
Yeah.
All right. So, what about your thoughts about the visuals?
Visuals. Generally, I'm very pleased. Design wise, really good. Huge open areas. You feel the exact opposite from Midgar, which was claustrophobic most of the time.
Yes.
And here it's really open, large areas, and the goal markers are usually hundreds, if not thousands, of meters away. At some point, even 11,000, so 11 kilometers away. That's, I think, around 6 or 7 miles. Or something like that. It's just a lot.
Yeah.
But it's also possible that the one who recorded the footage just moved away from the actual goal to maybe do some side stuff or go back.
That's true.
To an area which doesn't spoil what's actually there, because it just looks like a generic area to something. It could be basically anywhere. That's probably it, because they didn't want to reveal too much. So I think the only actual location that's revealed is Chocobo Ranch. And of course the ship. We're inside the ship facing Sephiroth and Genova. But other than that, it's just woods, plains, marsh, probably, swamp area or something like that, and a rocky area. And it's up to the imagination or to the theorists to figure out where those are. And I think that's pretty good to just give an idea of the world of what we're up for, how we will get treated when we play the game, and not just reveal everything right now. So they have more locations to reveal down the line, like Gold Saucer, Cosmo Canyon, which also got revealed a little bit, the planetarium, which I was very pleased with.
Right.
Bugenhagen, or Bugenhagen, actually.
That was so exciting.
Great. But they cut away just before you can see him standing on the ball. So we don't know if he's still standing on the ball or not. However, I do think he is, because he's very high up, and the other 3 are standing on the ground and looking up. So he must be floating on something. And you cannot take away that ball. It's it needs to be there. It's what Bugenhagen is. He is the ball, not the man above. It's the ball, No, I'm kidding, but it's an integral part of his character and how quirky he is, and it's just something that needs to be there. Basically, a huge materia, probably. Who knows? Float materia.
Yeah, we'll never know. Like when I was a kid, I thought that he was just standing on a flotation device or something, like some kind of platform that was floating in the air. But then somebody was like, no, that's his feet. And I'm like, what? What? What do you mean? How can you tell that? Like, there's barely any pixels.
At once I had the feeling that he doesn't have any legs, so he's basically just sitting on this ball because he cannot move at all otherwise. But maybe he's just this Zen guy who's always like sitting in this meditation position and floating around and speaking to people. I don't know. Yeah, it's very, very cool. And also his voice.
But they just cut it just before, so nobody can tell, obviously.
Yeah, unfortunately. Also, his voice is, I think, pretty good. But if you want to spare the cringe, don't listen to the German version. That one is really, really bad. It's so croaky and high-pitched and strange. I don't know what the voice director was thinking in German, but it's so strange. Other than that, pretty good. Regarding visuals too, I noticed there's on the graphical fidelity side still rough edges to be ironed out, like the grain on the hair, and especially on textures which have an alpha channel and stuff is. Yeah, there's a lot of dithering going on, especially in first frames of each scene where the post-processing has not taken hold, which is usually calculated based on the previous frame.
Yeah.
That's also something you notice in Remake, but it's much less visible there because it was polished. But here in the trailer, which is probably taken from builds months and months ago, which wasn't optimized yet. So I'm confident that the final product will have much better graphical fidelity. And also, the foliage on the ground didn't react to Cloud and the others while running through. While in the first look trailer, when Sephiroth is walking through the grass, or Cloud walking by those kind of branches, bush branches, they did react. So it is in there. Foliage should react to characters. But in the open fields, it does not yet. So I hope they will fix that with during optimization process. So yeah, fingers crossed for that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking too. I was just thinking that it looks really nice, but they still have some polish to do. And I did notice some rough edges a little bit around the foliage and a little bit of pixelation there. But
at least frame rate was very steady as far as I could tell. So it's no frame drops, just a solid 30 in the trailer at least.
Yeah. And there was one where they were going up a set of stairs or something. Was it in the movement
forest,
looked sketch to me.
Yeah.
I was like, the movement doesn't look as natural as it should. I don't know how to explain it more than that. There was a little bit of that in Remake as well.
Yeah, they do react to inclines and stairs and stuff, so it looks more natural, not perfect, but more natural. And maybe I don't know, maybe they didn't implement this quite right yet, or didn't adapt the environment to it. I'm not quite sure what that is. I need to have a look at it, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they have lots still ahead of them to optimize.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. But overall, I'm very excited and very pleased that we got a closer look at it, and we got so much gameplay.
Indeed.
Which just looks amazing. And just seeing Nanaki like in battle.
Yeah.
Made me so happy.
Nimble, and he just twirls around. He's so fast paced. It's cool. It's really, really cool. And Yuffie and Red team up attack. She's sitting on him, and it's so cool.
That was so cool. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's really, really nice. I'm so looking forward to all those team up attacks. I'm pretty sure there will be all possible combinations, like Barret with everybody, Cloud with everybody, Yuffie with everybody, and so on.
Mm-hmm. And we did get a quick look at the high wind, right?
Yes,
Kind
yes,
of. Like
indeed.
if you
Yeah,
pause the video, you can see there's some
yeah.
propellers moving.
When they're walking or running towards Junon, yes, you can see the high wind up there
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in half active mode. I don't know, maybe maintenance mode. It's just trying to see if everything is still working. I don't think they actually use the high wind until we hijack it, or do they actually use it? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think it's is anything there when we go to Junon and run around as Cloud in the security officer outfit? I think you can go up to the flight ramp and look at things, but I'm not sure if in the original game the high wind is there. I do remember that the Gelnika is taking off in the cutscene and is later
Yes.
found in the ocean. I think it's the Gelnika, but yeah, it's at least the same model. But the high wind, I don't quite remember. I need to check
Yeah.
again.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but it's cool to see a preview of it. It's really nice. That's why I love about this remake project, that you see everything in a new light, in a new perspective, and stuff from far away, and not just pixel mush.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I just wish that the trailer was released in 4K and you
yeah.
could just download the actual trailer. I keep
Mm.
saying this. It's so bad, the YouTube compression on the video.
It is.
And I downloaded the screenshots from the official
Yes.
press site, and they're not good. Like, I literally, if you zoom in a tiniest bit, it just goes to complete pixel.
Yeah, it's also 1080p. That's the thing. However, on the PSN, PlayStation Network, the trailer there is super crisp, and the
Okay.
Dachdecker has already recorded both the English and the Japanese version using OBS. You record in 4K. It wasn't necessary, but it's still better. And you see so much more there. There's barely any artifacts. So
Oh,
for
that's
analysis,
great.
it's
Okay.
really good. But I don't think he has uploaded it somewhere or shared the link. It's just the links are shared in our CCO Discord server. I think even pinned in our Rebirth pre-release channel. So if he still has it up on his Google Drive, you can download it there.
Yeah, I'm totally going to do that.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm seeing everything as clearly as possible for when we do our deep dive episode.
It's a huge difference compared to the compressed YouTube video. It's so bad.
Yeah.
Especially when there are so much particles flying around. And
that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yep. And movement.
Yes.
Like action.
Yes. It destroys the details completely.
Yep. Exactly.
However, there is something that really, really made me happy. Seeing Elena.
Yeah. A lot of people lost their minds.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because she's so quirky and weird and just fun when she's on screen. Just such a blabbermouth. Just reveals all Shinra's secrets and as we really in by song and root.
Yeah,
it's so cool. Yeah, I was almost losing my mind when I saw it. It's cool. Actually, I didn't really look forward to anything in particular, but I do remember mentioning her a lot of times in discussions before on our Discord server. That Elena is something I'm really looking forward to seeing, just as a reveal, because I don't know why. It's not I'm an Elena stan or something like that. It's just something. It's just something to that reveal that made me happy.
Yeah, that was great.
And then we can fight her right there, like meeting Reno the first time, fight. Against Root, which was a new encounter, fight. And here, meeting Elena the first time, fight.
Yeah.
So it has to be like this because it's there are 3 games, not just one. You want to fight in the game that you're encountering a character, not only in the next one.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of looks like her and Root are fighting together, but then it could be cut a different way.
I think if the thing is in the I don't think you see it in the English trailer, but in the Japanese trailer, there's a little bit more footage when Rude is talking, and when he's finished talking, it zooms out, and you see him and Elena right next to each other, ready for battle. So
Oh, okay.
it's pretty
Yeah,
much
that's not
just
in the English one.
Yeah, exactly. When Rude says his line, battle immediately starts afterwards. That's how I saw it.
Mm.
So it's 3 against 2 again. Or maybe it's two-phase that Elena starts and then Rude comes in or something. I don't know. Now, Rude says do not underestimate her, so that means we haven't fought yet. Okay. So it's
Yeah, there
2.
might be some bad mouthing going on.
Possibly, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
just downplaying her maybe,
Yes.
and then Rude's like, hey, actually, she's gonna kick your ass,
Yeah.
basically.
She's new to the Turks, but and she does when she punches Tifa, Tifa is just flying through the whole room. Same with kicking Aerith. Aerith also just flies off the screen.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah, but Eric does that a lot in the game. Let's just
that
be
is
honest.
true. That is true. Like when Rude tosses Cloud into Aerith.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
It's so
many
funny.
crazy moments.
Yeah. It's still quirky. That's something that the people were not quite upset but apprehensive about, that they will lose the quirkiness and the lighthearted moments and the camp, but it's all still there. It keeps being
for
there.
sure. So just one more thing here about, I guess, the overworld. So I did make a poll on our Twitter account, and I posted the comparison screenshots of the overworld from the original and then the areas on the map that we can see in the trailer. So do you think that we're going to get an overworld in the traditional sense of like how it was in the OG? What I'm seeing is large open areas where you can walk probably to, you know, certain areas that you can see. It's not like you can go anywhere that you can see, like in you know, Tears of the Kingdom or Breath of the Wild, whatever. Like, you're not going to be able to climb up the mountain in the distance that you can see and run over there. Like, what do you think about that? Like, do you think, like, for me, I'm thinking maybe the world map could look like the overworld map in the original, and maybe that's where the points are, and you could go. I don't know if there's going to be fast travel outside of like the high wind or anything like that, but
hard to say. Yeah,
you do see them running on chocobos though, so I think it's going to be similar to the original, where we're on the ground and we're running back and forth on foot, and then when we get chocobo, we can go up to maybe like higher terrain where we can get to unreachable areas like in the original.
It's hard to say, but the button mapping does not mention a jump functionality for the chocobos, so I don't think we can actually jump like in FF10. I think it was the case, or 10.2, where it could jump on. Oh, I think you could only jump on the chocobo feathers. When there's chocobo feather, the chocobo jumps to a higher level, and you can run around secret areas. Maybe there's something here too, but you cannot jump willy-nilly. That's my take here. But chocobos are basically the fast travel option, just so you get to places faster. But I'm pretty sure that we will be able to open the world map. Like, for example, like in Horizon, you press a button and then you see the 3D rendered overworld. You see everything. You zoom in and move around and stuff, and maybe place markers and stuff like that. Maybe even fast travel at some point, like you can click there and you're immediately there instead of just having to run there. However, I think until Rocket Town, it's very linear. You do not need to backtrack.
Exactly.
If you can if you want, but I don't think there will be a necessity for a fast travel option. Maybe the Tiny Bronco could be one. Hard to say. But I'm pretty sure they will do something nostalgic with the world map, so that you see, oh, here you are, there's your target, and there's something else you uncovered, and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
And like the cloud that they use is like the polygon cloud from the OG on the world map, you know?
Who knows? Yeah.
Cool. Just like a throwback. Kind of like they're doing with 16, right?
Oh, I see. With the pixel,
some of those little pixel characters.
Loading screens have the pixel characters, I think. Yeah, something like that.
That would be cool. But yeah, I'm thinking for the chocobos, probably not being able to jump on command, but you can go to higher elevation. So you see, like, for example, there's some like hills or cliffs. You can probably just walk up those on the chocobo, maybe.
Yeah, either that or specific jump points. Like for Cloud, there are also
Yes,
jump points or hopping points. So
which is like that little arrow on
yeah,
the
exactly.
edge or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I think so too, because you can see in one of these scenes where it looks like there's something like that's been man-made that's like in the mountains. You know what I mean?
It's so weird. So such a weird structure. I don't quite
Like the
get it.
structure
Yeah.
in the mountains. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's like Minecraft said hello.
yeah, it's kind of like you're supposed to be able to get up there. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's just my thought on it. But
Or it's lore. It's something happened there. It's just lore and it looks weird and I
maybe.
don't know.
All right, so moving on here, just really quickly, we're not going to go into too much depth here about the story elements that were revealed in the trailer. For me, I think that the trailer is being purposefully misleading.
Yes.
So when I first watched this, honestly, I didn't know what was happening.
It was so weird.
And then I was like,
so wild.
yeah, and then I thought, do I even know this game? Like, do I know what's going on? Like, I just felt like like everything was just kind of, it just threw me off. Like it just threw me off because the voice, like the voice lines don't necessarily match what we're seeing.
Nope.
And then the scenes that we're seeing are so chopped and they're not in consecutive order. So it's really hard because you really have to think about the only thing we have to compare it to is the original, right?
Yes.
Like, okay, so what happened at this point in the game when we got to the Chocobo Ranch, or what happened before that in the Mithril Mine, or do you know what I mean? So you have to constantly kind of go back in your mind and think about. And that was the challenge for me, was just like kind of remembering everything from the original and trying to piece this together. Which I'm okay with. It's a different type of style of trailer, I feel, but they did this with the original remake trailer as well.
Yes.
It was kind of purposefully misleading. And it can be really confusing for people, I think, as well. Like even newcomers that haven't played the OG or remake. And like my friend watched it and he was like, I hate this style of trailer that they do for this game. I hate it so much. Like they could do such a better job with revealing the story elements of the game, and that's what makes this game incredible, and they should take more care while doing it, but they could still be misleading, but just it could just be so much more impactful, I think. But and I agree. I was just also losing my shit, so I was just like, yeah, I guess so,
Well, the thing is, what others might find grating or not good could be a trailer's strength, because that's what gets people talking afterwards. The trailer will stay relevant for much longer time, because when a trailer just shows you this scene with the exact lines that are supposed to be there in the scene, and you see gameplay, and it's all clear from the beginning, you don't have to really analyze it. You just see pretty pictures, some gameplay, some scenes, and it's everything clear. That would be not boring per se, but it's not. It doesn't have a longevity, and they need people to keep talking, keep posting, keep interacting until the next drop. So, and it's also, I think it's more efficient to overlay gameplay segments, especially with dialogue. So we have dialogue, but at the same time you see just characters walking around. You can show off the environment without making those scenes boring, because if you just show for, let's say, 20 seconds or 30 seconds your characters walking around in random environments, it's not as enticing as when there's something talking over it. So you have still the double intrigue, basically the visual intrigue and what they're talking about. And since you do not know when the lines are said, it gets your brain going. Oh, where is it said? Where do I need to sort this in? What's going on? It gets you thinking, gets you talking afterwards with your friends and everybody else.
Yeah.
But I do get the point of your friend that it's it's a bit confusing. Maybe it's you see it, and if you're not into the game or everything around it, you see the trailer, you're interested in how it looks, how it plays, maybe, but it's still you have no real idea what's going on. It's weird. You cannot make heads and tails about it. That might be frustrating, I guess.
But then again, if you're new to the series, you know some of the characters, you just want to see the characters. And
Yeah.
also, you don't really care
That is
what
also true, yeah.
is going on because you don't necessarily know the story. You
Mm.
just might know Sephiroth and Cloud, and you might know Aerith or something, or maybe Nanaki. Like, you just don't. And then you're like, oh, that looked awesome. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then for us, like, we've already played the original. We follow the game, so we know everything about them. So maybe it's, I don't know. Like, my friend is a huge fan of the original, so I can understand why this would be
fair.
maybe confusing and frustrating, right? Because it's like, what's happening? You know? Like, you think you know it, and then you don't, but obviously this isn't the original, so...
No. Even though it should follow the original events largely.
Mhm.
So it is and it's not at the same time, which is quite interesting, actually. And I think
Isn't
that's
that crazy?
It is crazy, and it's also its strength, in my opinion, because everybody who knows the original will still have a new game to play, experiencing it anew, because not everything is clear. Okay, yeah, now this scene happens, now the flashback, and now the Mythal Mines, and now Gold Sauce, now we meet this character, and it's everything the same, just prettier. It just probably will wear you out at some point. It's cool, you play it once or twice, but it's still the same experience. It's nothing really new you can look forward to or think about or theorize about, or you never really know where does it go off the rails. What's Sephiroth actually doing right now? Where's the catch? So you're constantly wondering. It's still you play through a story you know, but you don't at the same time. I think this is genius. Not everybody might like it. Some purists just want to play the original just prettier. I understand that. But also from an artist's point of view, just doing the same again, just prettier. I don't know. There's just not enough dedication and love to pour into something you already did 2 decades prior, or almost 2.5 by now, and still keep going for probably over a decade until the part 3 is out, to work over on such a huge project. Just do the same again? Nah, doesn't really work that way, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unless they opted for a shorter variant where there's only one game, also prettier, but still just basically the original game, but better graphics. But everything else, just the same system, same everything, sometimes even maybe same camera angles, stuff like that. This would have worked too, but again, it would just be a current gen mod of the original game, and if you want to do that, well, they could just outsource it. But this would be kind of a half-arsed job, actually. Like the Secret of Mana remake is exactly the same, but it looks prettier, the 3D, but it didn't really make an impact at all. And if you release the same game again, FF7, which is a huge thing in the JRPG space, just release the same game again, just looking prettier, I don't think that would fly or leave the same impact as the original did back then. So, but I think we talked about parts of that in previous episodes. But since we've been absent for so long, I think reiterating some points is pertinent here.
For sure. And I know that people have kind of come around on the remake series now because they've had time away from it, or they've had time to kind of reflect on that, and they thought that they wanted a 1-to-1 remake just with, upgraded graphics and visuals and gameplay and stuff like that. But now they're thinking, well, no, I don't think that that's what I wanted. And they respect the fact that they are, going back and changing things or adding new things and fleshing out these characters, which is good because I think that that's what they want, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I'm just super excited to play this game. I think it's going to be insane. And I think that our minds are going to be blown again, just like Remake when it came out. And I remember when I turned it on and heard that theme music and saw the intro into the game, like it was a very emotional time because it was a pandemic and just going through all of that. And then seeing this trailer again, I felt this similar way where I kind of went away from it. And like I said, it just made me nervous. I was excited. I was stressed because I was thinking about like, oh my God, it's starting again, you know, like we're just going to get sucked into this world and sink hours and hours and hours into it, but then also hours and hours and hours creating content and talking together, and I guess not knowing as well what the future holds, which is the exact message I think they're trying to get through to everybody with this story.
Yes,
right?
Even the characters in lore do not know what the future holds. Well, they usually don't because nobody has foresight, but especially in this case where the future basically already happened since we're playing through memories.
We played the original.
We're playing through memories, Aerith knows, and it's so much meta in this case. There's so much parallels between us, players, with nostalgia, with memories of the original, and some characters have also memories of the original in the game, in the lore. It's so crazy.
Yeah. And then I went back last night and I actually rewatched the last scenes from Remake. And the characters even say that, like Aerith says that the future is not set in stone. Like it's still not written yet. And then Sephiroth says the same thing about the future being a blank page. Right? So it's like we might know the future because we played the original, but we don't know the future of this series.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Like we don't know what that's going to entail. We think we do, but I really don't think that we actually do.
We don't. We can theorize all we want. We might even be correct, but we don't know until we play the game.
Exactly.
And then this not knowing, this deviation and weird things, it's the first shot of the trailer, this new trailer, is it just went off the rails just from the get-go. And this I was just sitting there like, what is going on? First, like destruction, okay. I wasn't quite sure where and when and destroyed and stuff. And then you see Barrett being wheeled around on this
a stretcher.
Stretcher, exactly, yeah, stretcher. And then Tifa, and even her arm falls down limply. And then Red 13 just lying there, and Aerith zoomed in on her face. Like, what is going on? Wait, Cloud is not there. What's Cloud? Where's Cloud?
Yep. So I'm interested to get your thoughts on that actually, because that threw me off too, because I was watching it and I'm like, where did this happen in the original? You know, like I'm thinking back and I'm like, this did not happen.
This is completely new.
Like, what is going on, right? But I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are without going too deep into it, because we're going to do that in the future. But for me, it seems like it's like Shinra propaganda where they're showing that because, you know, they've already shown videos of the Avalanche team together and they're claiming that they're terrorists and they're trying to turn the general population against them. So it seems like it could be more propaganda on the news showing that, okay, the people are safe now, even though there was a disaster, but they're showing them like, oh, look, they've been hurt or they're dead or whatever. So then people can kind of feel at ease now because the quote unquote terrorists are in custody. We don't know if they're dead or not. Some people, like the internet went crazy and they're like, oh my God, they're dead. That means there's two party groups. There's two copies of the groups, whatever, of the main party. We don't know that necessarily because we don't know if they're dead or not, right? Like they could be unconscious. They could be hurt. We just don't know. So I'm not jumping to that conclusion, but it's definitely interesting and it really threw me off, especially to start the trailer like that.
It's really strange. But first of all, it's a live feed. So this is, I'm pretty sure it's not propaganda because the announcer also does not mention or blame Avalanche. They just show our boys and girls, of course, but they don't say anything. It's just, okay, a tornado went through sectors 0, 1, and 2. Sector 0 is the Shinra building, for those who are not aware. Or just the center area, like within where all sectors meet, at Sector 0.
Yeah.
So there was a tornado that destroyed everything, and there's still still searching and rescuing and stuff like that, still assessing all the damage and what have you. So it's just a disaster that just happened, and they're trying to get their bearings and saving everybody. That's about it. So something happened, but this did not happen in Remake, and neither did it in the original. So what's going on here? Without going into the weeds, just a few teasers. In the very first, I haven't counted yet, I think maybe 5 or 7 frames of the trailer, there's a glitch, but you do see the singularity tornado at the end of the highway that sucked everybody up, including cranes and parts of the highway. You saw that tornado, and they were talking about a tornado that destroyed Midgar. So something happened in the singularity that kind of produced 2 events. One that destroyed Midgar partially and killed or injured our party, Sans Cloud, because we didn't see him. Or maybe he is also there, but the trailer didn't show him, just to screw with us. And then our party, who assembled at the edge of the cliff where Zack died, or where he was supposed to die, and we do not see smoke coming from Midgar, no destruction, nothing. So there are 2 versions of reality, basically. That's as far as I want to go, because if I keep talking, we'll sit here for another half an hour for me to explain everything, because it's such a huge can of worms.
Yeah, because somebody pointed out that even the format of Midgar is different.
I'm not so sure about that. I think I know where they're getting
like
at,
the sectors are different.
Yeah, you don't see actually, but the tornado went through sectors 1 and 2, and it seemed like if it's actually really the same tornado and at the same place that we got sucked in the singularity, that was sector 5. When you look at the Shinra building in the back, because it's the front of the Shinra building is facing sector 5. We were at the end there, and in the original was also sector 5, which points to the south. So this is a bit of a conundrum, I think, but as I will go into the probably next episode, there's something with altered memories. Kind of like Stamp is now a beagle, not a terrier. And like we see later in the trailer, that Cloud is part of the reunion cloak pilgrimage, which he wasn't in the original. Just stuff like that.
Yeah. And then somebody pointed out too that Barrett doesn't have his tattoo.
He does.
On his arm.
He does. You see it. You see it in the high resolution trailer from the PSN.
Okay, because you can kind of see an outline of it, and I think it's just pixely.
Yeah, it's problem is there's a lot of dirt over it, and the compression just completely destroyed everything.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, because you can kind of see it.
Yeah, you can see it clearly in the high resolution, not high resolution, but higher fidelity trailer, the non-compressed version on the PSN.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I went back, like I said, and I watched the end scenes of Integrate and just the original remake as well. And like you said, the party members are just standing on the edge of the cliff. Like after the whispers were surrounding Midgar and it's destroyed, like you don't see any smoke.
Nope.
There's no fire. There's no tornado to be seen. Like it's just
exactly
normal, right?
Yep.
And then when it shows the party walking on the road before getting picked up in the chocobo truck, like they show Midgar in the background, and there's just like a little bit of a mist.
Yeah, that's just pollution. And
just pollution. Barrett makes the joke about like, oh, we should breathe in some fresh air. Oh, actually, let's just go on a little bit further because we'll probably die from
it's still dirty here.
Pollution.
Let's go.
Yeah. So it doesn't look like it happened.
Nope.
There. So it's very confusing, but
it is, but it's purposefully so, because they do want us talking like we are right now, and people will keep talking because there is no answer yet. There's might be educated guesses, but until maybe the next trailer or at least the game drops, there's no no
Yeah.
definitive answer because there's too much we do not know.
Yeah.
But everybody should still remember the lore and the core of what Final Fantasy's world is made of. Like the live stream memories, this is the core of everything. Memories is the basis. Without memories, you're nothing. If your memories are changed, you become a different person. And Sephiroth is all about those memories. I'll never become a memory, and implanting false memories into Cloud, making self-doubt. Even in the original game, in the Whirlwind
Exactly.
Maze, he tells Cloud it's just a clone and created by Hojo, blah blah blah. It's this planting seeds of doubt, and Cloud already has a messed up memory thanks to Genova and the
Mm-hmm.
years-long experimentation on him and stuff like that. And it's even worse here, as we see at the end of the trailer, where Sephiroth says the English trailer is not clear, but in the German and Japanese version, he says Tifa's name. So he killed Tifa with his own hands. So who's this woman? Planting more doubts in Cloud's mind that Tifa is not. Tifa is known. It's an imposter, maybe even Genova. So he should distrust Tifa. And Tifa is a very important support pillar for Cloud. She's the one who puts Cloud back together to sever the control Sephiroth has over him. So Sephiroth needs to
Right.
get her out of the picture, and by making Cloud doubt Tifa, one step closer. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was thinking as well. We're gonna see the downfall of Cloud in this game. I think over time it's
Yes.
gonna turn really dark, and we're gonna see that happen. And we kind of see that happen in the original as well, right?
Yep.
Where he just kind of loses himself completely, and it's the second installment in the series. And going back to what I think it was Nomura that had said that about the Star Wars trilogy.
Oh, right. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it's like the second one, and that's the similar thing with Empire Strikes Back,
Yes.
right? We see the downfall of the Jedi. So I think it's going to eventually turn really dark as we go, and it has to do with Sephiroth trying to sever Cloud's ties with everybody,
Exactly,
and
yeah.
isolate him,
Yes.
right? So that he doesn't know what's real, what's fake, who he is as a person. So Sephiroth can use him as a tool potentially to what ends we don't know, but
well, giving him the black materia for sure, maybe even more. As we theorized, he needs Cloud as a vessel to travel the planet with Omega or something like that. Maybe this is still completely out of the weeds, crazy theory, but it's still on the docket, I think. But in essence, it's still the same as in the original, just turned up to 11. Even starting with Chapter 2, when he tried to have Cloud not meet Aerith by delaying him, not meeting the others, not reconvening with the others, just completely distracting him. Also planting seeds of doubt and anger and stuff like that. We noticed that, and Tifa and Aerith have to calm him down again, because he's about to kill off Johnny, he's about to kill off Marco and also Reno, and all 3 times Aerith or Tifa have to reel him in. None of that happened in the original game, so Sephiroth was really out for Cloud.
But so we are still on agreement that this is a version of Sephiroth that is all-knowing. He knows how the original ends, right? So this is not just Sephiroth from the original.
Nope.
Because he wouldn't know that.
Maybe the one in the Shinra building, that's still up for debate, because there he's just taunting Cloud and being more like a Genova altered Black Cloak, which he is in the Shinra building. But other than that, all other instances where he's actually appearing to Cloud as an illusion, not just flashback, it is him knowing about everything that's come before, the whole compilation, and thus knowing how to control Cloud and trying to sever everything to have him isolated and be the puppet that he wants Cloud to be. But he didn't succeed yet. That's also why he said not yet in the Edge of Creation. when they fought.
Hmm.
I think it's also part of the developer commentary in the Material Ultimania Plus or the normal one. I'm not quite sure. Where he wanted Cloud to join him, but when Cloud doesn't, this is that, well, Cloud doesn't want to join him, so he will keep messing with Cloud until he does, basically. Paraphrasing,
Yeah.
but that's about that's what Sephiroth is about. He will keep messing with Cloud until he joins him, or does what Sephiroth
Absolutely.
does. Yeah.
Yeah, so he can achieve his ultimate goal, which is what he tried to do in the original game, which didn't happen. So he's trying to get a redo.
Yes, exactly. He does want to actually create this wound in the planet and absorb all the live stream. And what was not in the original, travel with the planet as a vessel to other planets and keep repeating the same cycle as that Genova just keeps perpetuating, basically. That's something from that Advent Children introduced. In the original, he just wanted to become a god and become a god over the planet, the live stream, everything, but still on the planet. But
he lost.
Yes, he lost, exactly. And that's probably why this image of meteor hitting the planet without Holy or live stream is so important.
Mm-hmm.
And this image is shown again in the first look teaser for Rebirth.
Exactly.
So this is what he wants.
Yeah, absolutely. And my thought process is I'm of the thought that the original OG Final Fantasy VII, the ending of that is actually the bad ending.
Yeah.
So we've played the bad ending of the story because we get to see it 500 years later where we have Nanaki with his children and everything is just grown over and it looks like civilization is no more, right?
That's one interpretation, yes. The other is that they just relocated, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that it's a redo of that. So this potentially we get the good ending, which is they actually survive, right?
Yeah.
And there is no Advent Children.
Yeah, that definitely.
Because they get the good ending. And that's why we fight the Whisper versions of Kadaj, because it's them trying to fight so that they can continue to exist in the future.
Yes.
So that they're securing their future and their existence. But obviously they get defeated in the end. And ultimately, the future is yet to be written. So that's my interpretation. And I went on a storm last night writing notes about my theory about everything because I literally was just like into it, and I was just like, oh my god, like I have a theory, so that I just wrote notes. So we'll talk a lot on our next episode about my theory and what you think is actually happening there. But we did talk about a little bit about it today. Is there anything else that you want to add, Vyzz?
Yeah, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about, basically. All the character reveals, locations, method of minds, new boss, the golem. But I think we can get into all of that in another episode. And didn't we also want to catch people up on things we talked about in the unpublished or not published episode? Quickly go over that?
Yeah, so there was a long time ago, there was a developer interview on a bunch of Japanese press sites and French as well, Jeux Vidéo. So we made some notes about what they were talking about Ever Crisis and Rebirth. So some of these things don't necessarily apply anymore. But some of the things that I saw that were interesting were just that they had said that they want to avoid users feeling that the setting has changed a lot. So they're not really changing the core elements of the original. So we're still going to see, a lot of the same places. But they said also that they were talking about Zack is going to be in a more important position in this game. And they can't really give any details about it. So is there anything else that you want to share about the developer interviews that you could remember?
Yeah, I think I can. You copied all the notes from last time in here, so I think I'll just quickly go through the notes, so just to let you know what we were about to publish, but it never happened, unfortunately. But not everything is quite as important, but I think just going through it will suffice. So they talked about the meaning of rebirth, why calling it rebirth. So it's similar to remake, rebirth. So, and it's also something being born again, which it's pretty much what the story is about, the main mystery, stuff like that. They decided against numbering because of two problems. Like we wouldn't know, well, is there a 4 and a 5 after 3? Do I have to play 1 before 2 or both before 3? So they wanted to make sure that everybody knew all the games, or all 3 games, are standing on their own. So they have no numbering, and you can basically play them in any order if you so choose. And as one question answer tweet lead up to this trailer said, they will make sure to catch people up on what happened in Rebirth, which is pretty cool. I think Kingdom Hearts 3 did the same. There was some narrated summary, I think narrated by a Chirithi or something like that, or a Kubo, a Moogle, that just summarized all the events that were important. I think even a data log where I could catch up on all the important characters, who they are, and what games were there. Just a summary that you caught up if you haven't played everything or nothing at all. And Rebirth will do something like that too.
Something, yeah.
In whatever, maybe it's a small movie, maybe 5 or 10 minute recap of everything, like a summary of all the important events. Maybe even a data log where you can see who is Cloud, who is Sephiroth, what happened, like cliff notes of the most important events in the remake, just something like that. I'm pretty sure it's also optional that you can select it from the main menu. So when you hit start, you are not burdened with, previously on Final Fantasy VII. I don't think they will do that.
It could be something like they're using in Final Fantasy 16, right? Where they have that, I forget what they call it, but there's more story there and lore if you want it, but it's inside of a menu.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Or like FF13 with the data log. So many things are in the data log that are not part of the story told in scenes and dialogue. But yeah, something like that. Pretty sure. Yeah, and they also reiterated again, like Remake, it has more than one meaning. Like Remake is not just a remake in a technical sense, but also has connections to the lore. Well, they didn't say that explicitly, but that it had multiple meanings. And Rebirth also has multiple meanings. Interestingly, 4 parts were never on the table. Kitase at first thought, they could finish the rest in one game, like Midgar one game and the rest the second game, and I find that ludicrous, but in the end they opted for 3 with it, which is good. I think that part is not that important, but they did reiterate that nothing will be cut, as they said in 2015 interviews, that there will be no digest version, everything will be there. However, they could maybe rearrange the locations we visit, like maybe Fort Condor is in part 3, or much later after we obtain the Tiny Bronco, or Wutai is in part 3, something like that. Maybe we visit another location first, and later another one, not exactly the same as we did in original, but everything is there, nothing is cut, even if it seems that way. And I think this is also something important to know, that when we skip from Mythril Mines directly to Junon, where's Fort Condor? Yeah, it'll be there, no worries, it's just somewhere else. And despite the new Zack mystery and that we now defeated Fate and everything is on the table, the main axis and the crux of the story has not changed. They reiterated that multiple times. So this is also important, that we will play through the main events of FF7, but with just new twists, additional seasoning, what have you. And like in terms of compilation, as far as I remember and can deduce from here, they wanted to make sure that they do include lore, like that everything is connected, so to speak, but they do not want to change too much. So they included, for example, Vyzz in this manner. It's just there in cutscenes a little bit in Integrate, but does not interfere with the actual plot, and is an optional boss. Stuff like that. Just they weave stuff in, but will not derail too much, which leads me to believe that Genesis will not be part of the Nibelheim flashback. Also, a quote by Kitase, we are trying to avoid the user's feeling that the setting itself has changed a lot. So again, they keep reiterating in separate forms that, guys, it's fine. It will still be FF7.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And this is an important point, which is now connected to trailer. They said models like Cloud and Barret remained the same. They have not changed, but others may have been. And I was already, I'm not sure if they mentioned Yuffie in the interview or if it's something I just added in the notes, but Yuffie's model did change. The others are still exactly the same, as far as I could tell, but Yuffie's has changed. Her arm guard on the left is pretty much redesigned, has more elements, more segments, more knickknacks to it. The yellow cloth on her shoulder guard is gone. The braces on the legs are gone, but replaced by a side pocket, which is strapped to her leg, and the pants. So she has a belt now, which means the pants are not unbuttoned anymore, which some people find egregious because it's a big part of her original design, but I personally do not care. It's silly.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. And I think a few other details, but that's about it. So her design has changed. Why? Maybe it's lore related, maybe not. Maybe it shows she is matured from what she has experienced in Midgar. Who knows? We'll see. That's also something we might talk about in the next episode, depending on if I remember. Yeah, that's really important. I think it is part of the lore that everybody who was in the Singularity has not changed, but Yuffie, who was not, has changed.
Yeah, we'll jot note that down. I already jot noted it down for the next episode.
But yeah, I just wanted to note that because they did mention something like that in the interviews last year.
Yeah.
And something that I also mentioned in my last video that I published, that Nomura said definitively that what we see in the first teaser trailer, like Sephiroth and Cloud walking towards Mount Nibel, that is actually from the flashback. It's not some weird new scene, something completely new or whatever. It is the flashback, and they want to make sure that it's that it is clear that they did not change up things, that it is in fact what it shows. But they had to hide a few things due to restrictions, so not everything is shown. He did not say or specify whether it's only UI related, like maybe the minimap missing, or other things like that, or if they just disabled the Shinra security officers and Tifa, so that we only see Cloud and Sephiroth. That's some things I also mentioned in a video. I'm pretty sure they only just wanted to make sure Sephiroth and Cloud are there. Everything else we want to keep for later. There's also no information yet whether Sephiroth will actually be a party member or not. It could be just an AI, as he is in the original. I think we talked about that in the past. He also mentioned that Mount Nibel is really large, but no real further information about that. We have to wait until more information is coming. Yeah. But as we now know, the worlds are really large. And I think they also not reiterate, but made sure that we know that when we go out into the world outside of Midgar, we will be sure to feel the openness. And this is what we see in the trailer now that dropped a few days ago. It's really so big, large, especially with the goal indicator that's, as I said before, multiple kilometers away sometimes. So yeah, no more corridors like in Midgar. And it's possible that the hallway simulator, as Final Fantasy XIII is often called, has kind of found its way into Midgard. Its level design is pretty similar. That we feel the difference between Remake and Rebirth. The enclosed claustrophobic spaces and the open fields and forests and what have you. Yeah, and then there's an interesting quote from Kitase in the Jeux Video French interview. He says, quote, he, referring to Zack plays an important role in the story, but we can't give any details about that right now. I think people who played the first part of Remake saw that Zack and Cloud's relationship is slightly changed and different, and now they want to see how the story unfolds next. So we understand that players are wondering what Zack's involvement is, how he was involved in changing the timeline of the story, and if that's going to be a major point in Rebirth. Players really want to know all of that, so we put Zack in the trailer as a little teaser, just to give you a little taste of what it might be like. But obviously, in terms of concrete details, what happened and how he's involved, how things have changed, you're going to have to wait until you play the game when it comes out and find what's really going on. I think that's what I mentioned earlier in this episode. That we will have to wait until the game drops until we find more about Zack's involvement and stuff. Yeah, I think that's about it. I also mentioned that the third game is already in pre-production. That was last year, which is really good. I hope it doesn't take 4 years until the third game comes out, starting from 2024, which means 2028. I hope it's 2026 or something, maybe latest 2027, which would be 7 years between the first and the last release, and also 30 years since the release of the original. I hope it's the case.
Yeah, I think the fact that they have the assets and everything created in this one, the third game there's probably just going to be some new areas, but we are revisiting other areas from the previous 2 games that we've already been to. So I feel like it's probably not going to take 4 years.
No, definitely not. No.
Like, I can see it probably taking 2 years because they've already been working on it. So maybe the point at which we actually play it is 2, but then it's actually in reality they've been developing it for 4.
Yes.
Potentially. But yeah, I don't see it being as long as what we waited for, like, part 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure. And between part 1, part 2, or Remake and Rebirth, there's such a huge difference in scope and, as you said, assets. That basically everything besides those 5 characters is new. All the areas are new. Maybe they could reuse some assets from Midgard part, like some small ones, like lamps in caves and stuff like that, or just some elements. But basically everything is new. But as you said, if it's really leading up to the Northern Crater, which I seriously hope, then almost the whole world has been created.
It's been created, exactly.
And all characters.
Yeah, exactly. So they probably just have to change some elements, you know what I mean? Like the sky or something like that, which also I hope that it doesn't look like a skybox, but maybe it is, but it's harder to tell that it's a skybox now because it's clouds in the sky.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed that and not feeling like, you know, that terrible skybox that we had in the original before Intergrade, when you're looking down into the quote unquote slums and it's just literally a picture and you're like, what?
Yeah. Or very, very grainy and low resolution slums and plates when you're climbing up in chapter 15. It was so bad in the vanilla version.
Yeah.
And there's something I'm questioning now myself. Is it a skybox or did they simulate clouds? I need to look at it again if we see clouds moving, because for Final Fantasy 15 they did create the clouds in a way that they what's the word again? They generate the clouds, and cloud movement is generated. It's with P. I forgot how the word is called.
No idea.
It's like like when the level is generated again and again. I'm blanking on the term, but you guys will know. You guys will know. It's not that big of a deal. It's just generate the clouds that keep moving semi-realistically. They keep forming, they keep dispersing again, and that's something that FF15 did really well. Displaying the world and presenting the visuals, and I hope it's something like that.
Yeah, they also had a day and night cycle, right?
Yes, indeed.
I don't know if we're gonna get that for this.
Probably not. I don't think it's relevant.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah.
Just predetermined. When we're meant to trail at night, it will be night. That's what I think. Maybe the third game has a day and night cycle when we're in the high wind and have just to fly around the place. Something. I don't know. Who knows?
Exactly.
Or perpetually dark because of meteor or something. I know.
Yeah, everything just has like a red tint to it.
Probably.
Like if meteors get summoned, right? Like the original, then it's like that whole game, like the third disc is pretty much just that. Everything has like a red tint to it.
I don't think the world itself has, but the sky definitely has. The sky is reddish, and you see the meteor at some point, or at a certain point on the skybox, basically. Yeah, I'm so looking forward to that.
Yeah, same here. So one last thing before we go, they really went hard on the marketing and telling us that it's on 2 discs.
Oh, yes.
For some reason, they choose to tell us that. So it's 2 PS5 discs, which is a lot of data, right?
It is,
But for some people, it doesn't mean anything because they're going to buy it digitally anyway. So why do they care? It's 2 discs. But I like the throwback to the nostalgia of like having to put in another disc.
Yeah.
And then Audrey was kind of like, what happens if they actually stop the game halfway through and they're like, put in disc 2, like the original?
as a
I'm
joke,
like, I would
maybe.
be down with that. I think that's fine. But then the digital download people won't have that because it'll just be one whole like file, right? So and then she was like, what happens if Zach's story is on the second disc? I'm like, no, I'm not.
Come on.
I'm not hopping on that train. I'm like, I can't.
No.
But I just love that they're like, it's 2 discs. I'm like, wasn't Remake Part 1 on?
It was,
but it was PS4 discs.
Could be. I'm not sure about the integrate release.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Same.
Yeah. We'll see. It's definitely marketing things to say, oh, 2 discs, it sounds better than 1 and is special, and
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that concludes today's episode. Thank you guys so much for joining us for our episode today. I really appreciate you, Vyzz, taking the time to sit down and talk about this Rebirth trailer that we got. And to everybody that's super interested in hearing our thoughts, we're going to be doing a deep dive more into the lore and I guess just kind of dissecting the trailer frame by frame. And we're going to be talking a lot about that on our next episode. So just want to say thank you guys again for all your support, and thanks for joining us and sticking with us, even after our long hiatus. If you guys want, you can go ahead and follow us. We do have a Twitter account. It's at @reunion_podcast. We do have a Facebook page. It's at Reunion Podcast. And our episodes are also posted to our YouTube channel, which is the Reunion Podcast. So you can check us out there as well. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. So the best way to support us is, word of mouth and letting everybody know about the podcast. It really helps our exposure. Anything you want to add, Vyzz?
No, just look forward to the next episode, and I may just drop my socials too. The CCO socials. It's at CC_observatory on Twitter. It's we're on Discord. I think you can find us, or in there. There's a link on the Twitter page to just drop into our Discord. YouTube is Cosmo Canyon Observatory, of course, and the Substack I mentioned at the beginning is ccobservatory.substack.com, and there you find the articles that I've already published, and I hope to write and publish one in a timely manner for this new Rebirth trailer, or at least parts of it.
All right, guys. Well, thank you guys again for joining us, and hopefully we'll talk to you all soon. This is Kai, and I'm signing off.
I'm Vyzz and signing off too. Till next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.